Hello, chess friends, and welcome to the Chess channel, and welcome back to the Norway Chess Tournament in 2022. We're now back in the round 7, and of course, in the round 7, really wild things happened. First of all, Magnus Carlsen lost his Armageddon game against Ariantari, which meant now that Viswanathan had really great chances to take the lead, or at least to equalize the result with Magnus Carlsen. Unfortunately for Vishy, he only played a draw in the classical time format game against Teimour Radjabov, so it meant now that he had only the chance in the Armageddon game to equalize the result with Magnus Carlsen at the top of the table. So we're following actually now the Armageddon game immediately. It was really a wild Armageddon game, so let's check out now what happened, because this game was really important for the rest of the tournament. So Vishy opened with the move e4. We have e5 by Teimour Radjabov, knight to f3, we have knight to c6, bishop to c4, the Italian game, and after bishop to c5 we have now the symmetrical Italian, which is of course the gioco piano. So c3, immediately preparing the d4 pawn breakthrough. Many times this move will come afterwards, because of course many times black is first of all playing this counter attack with the move knight to f6 against this weak pawn on e4. So that's why d3. So Vishy again goes into the classical system. We have seen many times in this tournament so far by Viswanathan that he's playing this solid classical ideas, classical systems. He's not rushing into attacks, he's waiting for his chances, which is really good. Then afterwards, when the tactical possibilities there, Vishy is using them immediately. So as I said, he's not missing his tactics, which is really incredible. But so far in the beginning, he's playing, as I said, really solid game. So d6 we have here by Teimour Radjabov, bishop to g5. This move is many times a very dangerous move. Of course, you're playing a very dangerous pin against the knight, but actually this is a line that's not so good in my opinion for white. White can play many ideas. White can play h3 prophylactic, as he can play knight to d2, kingside castling, then afterwards after rook to e1, knight to f1, knight to g3, and similar stuff. Actually, bishop to g5 is a risky method, because many times this bishop will be kicked away with h6 and g5 ideas. And if you want to give up the bishop pair in an early stage of the game, it's also risky, because then the queen comes very active into the game. The problem is now, even if, for instance, after h6, so you take bishop to f6, queen to f6, look at this, you don't have anymore maybe the knight here, the possibility to jump with your knight on c3 and on d5 in order maybe to attack the queen. So as I said, in my opinion, this bishop to g5 methods in the Italian game are very risky, because you will be eventually kicked away immediately with the move h6. After move bishop to h4, Teimour Radjabov plays here also a very important move a5. It's not allowing here Viswanathan to play maybe the move b4, and then afterwards of course also the move b5. So after move a4 we have knight from b to d2, we have bishop to a7. This is a common idea in the Italian game, retreating with the bishop. The bishop is not an object of the attack of white, so black's bishop cannot be attacked in the further stage of the game, but the bishop stays very actively and attacks now the weak pawn on f2. This pawn on f2 is many times the target of blacks in the continuation of the Italian game. So we have now kingside castling by Viswanathan, and now comes g5, and that's the risk when you play the move bishop to g5. Don't think that this is not going to happen to you. Believe me or not, this is actually good for black. Black should play really the game like this against your bishop on h4. Black should not hesitate here. Black should really immediately attack, although these moves are weakening a little bit the light squares here. But you see now that actually after a couple more moves, Vishy will be in positional problems, because also in the game between Vesely, so if you have followed against Magnus Carlsen, Vesely played a similar line and also got into troubles, especially with the dark for bishop. So as I said, if you bring the bishop out, be careful. Many times black is also beautiful attacking chances against your minor pieces. So bishop to g3, kingside castling, normal stuff still. Rook to e1 played by Vishy, and now knight to h7 here by Teimour Radjabov. The idea is clear. This is also a common maneuver, because we want to play h5. That's now also the beautiful goal. The cool part is of course that the knight is protecting the g5, and also now the queen is also protecting this very important pawn, because it could be then also a weakness. So that's why here knight to h7 is a beautiful preparation of the h5 move. So we have h3, h5 immediately by Teimour Radjabov, d4, very important breakthrough here, and now queen to f6. And this is now a good move. This is really a brilliant move by Teimour Radjabov. He's getting these pieces now really on the best, most active squares. As I said also in the beginning of the video, the downside about this c3 move, it's a beautiful preparation. Of course, you want to play d4, but you're taking the natural square for the knight. You see, the knight on d2 is not so powerful like the knight on c3. So that's why you would love, of course, now to have now the knight on c3 and attack the weak d5 square. So many of these moves have, of course, their good side, but also they have their bad side. So queen to f6 is perfectly fine. Look at this. Teimour Radjabov is building really beautiful attacking formations here. The bishops are perfectly fine. The queen is active. The knight is on natural square, and in the near future, the knight can be also included in the attack here with the move knight to g5. So we have bishop to b5. Vishy sent some blood around the square e5. This is now weakness, of course, the tension we want to take, and then play also d takes e5. Here we have h4 by Teimour Radjabov. If you play g4, it seems tempting, but this is not good actually. H takes g4, h takes g4, and now we can take d takes e5. You have to react. If you take, of course, put the knight, white would love, of course, immediately to trade off the knights and get rid of this annoying piece. So that's why after d takes e5, actually we could have now a beautiful new square for the knight to f5 is, in my opinion, perfectly fine. First, we should maybe support it with bishop to d3, knight to f5, then also the g4 is weakness. So it's I think a playable line for white. So g4, as I said, doesn't make sense. So here, if you try maybe e takes d4 here by black, this is also, in my opinion, not good, because first of all, you get bishop to c6. So we're first taking away the piece that's controlling the d4, but also the e5 square. Now black could maybe try a counterattack with this idea, d takes c3, but now with e5 we can immediately create a counterattack. If you play d takes e5, look at this. We have now this move. This is now the best actually move. I think they have probably somewhere also this line prepared at home, because now if you take, then we can take out with the queen, and look at this. This pawn is hanging, the knight is a little bit loose, although black is here 2 pawns up, but actually the coordination of black's pieces is suddenly not good anymore. Also the g5 pawn is weak, e5 pawn, h5 is weak. So I'm not seeing good ways how black should defend this position. So this is not good. So after move bishop to b5, actually here Teimour Radjabov played the best move, and he played now brilliant h4, and you have to retreat now. And as I said, suddenly you see this dark square bishop is becoming more and more the best piece on the board. So we have now g4, we have h takes g4, and now bishop to g4. And actually here black is taking over, I think, in the position. The position is, when it comes to computer relations, it's about equal, but I would love now to play this position more from black's perspective, because the activity, the piece activity is much better, especially because of the fact that we can also play something like king to h8, rook to g1, include maybe also the rook into the attack on the g file. The bishop is good. So as I said, this is, in my opinion, a slightly better position for black. So in the continuation, we have bishop to c6, b takes c6, and now queen to a4. And this was maybe the first really inaccuracy by Viswanathan. He should have taken, I think, here d takes e5 is, in my opinion, perfectly fine. After queen to g7, or you can also take, for instance, you can play d takes e5, then we can play bishop to e5. Okay, you have this one. You will try maybe some attacks here on the g file, but now with bishop to d4, we can at least trade off this annoying bishop. That would be, I think, a decent idea. Just get rid of one of these powerful bishops, because you cannot tolerate, of course, this powerful bishop pair like this. So as I said, in my opinion, this will be defendable. So after move this d takes e5, maybe the queen could retreat to g7. So this would be sort of a gambit line by black, where black could immediately try to attack the g file, but actually it's not something that should bother, I think, white in the continuation of the game. We can take, and now with bishop to f4, again, maybe some ideas of bishop to e3, and simplify the game by trading off the minor pieces. So as I said, this was maybe a slightly better continuation, but Vishy played queen to a4, which is also at least some kind of an idea. We are, of course, attacking the weak pawn on c6. So we have here h3, and you see now, that's why I like more this d takes e5 idea, because this line is more forcing. It makes black more react in the position. So here you see with move h3, Teimour Radjabov is opening the position on light squares. The bad part, of course, for white in this position is that you don't have any more the light square bishop in order to compete on light squares. So, as I said, with h3, I think this was also a good position now for Teimour Radjabov. So we have here bishop to g3. We have now queen to h6, and now g takes h3. Look at this queen to h3, and the position is already weird here for Viswanathan Anand. You see, he's losing suddenly the battle on light squares, and he found now some kind of an idea how to counterplay. He played rook to e3 in order to protect somehow his position around the king, although you can immediately take queen to c6, and then the position could lead maybe into some ideas of king to h8, rook to g1. So as I said, this will be still a risky position here for white. But after move rook to e3, now comes the critical moment of this game. Here Teimour Radjabov played bishop to d7, and he probably tried some ideas of c5, maybe discovered attack against the queen, although the better idea is simply to stay focused here, to stay and keep the tension on light squares, simply building a queen and bishop battery on light squares, and simply continue the pressure. In the near future, maybe with some ideas of f5 if necessary. So as I said, this would be a good idea, and I think black should be much better. But after move bishop to d6, this is now a huge blunder by black. Maybe you can pause the video and try to see now the best continuation here for white. Actually, what happened here is really a wild tactic geometry, sort of, because sometimes the pieces are connected in such a beautiful way that they can attack many pieces twice. They can attack really diagonals, files at the same time. They can even attack ranks at the same time. So sometimes really chess is all about geometry. So here I think we'll have a perfect example of chess geometry, because Vishy found immediately a brutal but a beautiful tactic. Of course, he found now the beautiful knight to e5, and this is beautiful because now of course c5 is not working, because knight to d7 is going to happen. You have to react, because after d takes e5, now comes here this move bishop to e5 comes with a direct attack against the queen. And the cool part, that's the beauty about chess geometry, is that actually you have to move the queen, but now there is also a beautiful attack around the square g7. So now you have to step back with the queen on h5. Now with rook to g3, look at this, the pieces are so well coordinated. Actually, it's a position that you can resign. So you could maybe try here to move knight to h5, knight to g5, pardon me, to somehow stay in the game. But now with bishop to f6, still we grab the piece, and this should be game over. So for here the continuation, after move rook to g3, Teimour Radjabov tried bishop to g4, but actually it's not much better, because after queen to d1 in this position, Teimour Radjabov resigned. You will lose the piece for sure. You can just prolong the game. You can try maybe f5, but this should not be something that bothers white, because we can take it. E takes f5. You can get the rook into the game. We take rook to g4. Maybe you can try this one, but with f4, still this piece is lost. So you can maybe try here rook to g5. Now we can take, and now with king to f1. Actually, the cool part is that, okay, the king is still weird on f1, but we have to agree also black's king is so endangered here. Look at this pawn structure by black. This is really weak. White is up 2 pawns here. In the near future, the c7 will be taken for sure. What you have as a problem maybe is this rook attack, but actually you can even play the game like this. You can even try to maneuver your king towards the queen side. Look at this. There is nothing special about black's attack. Queen to g4. We play f3. You have a couple of checks. Look at this with knight to e4. You're cementing the position. So as I said, this is simply game over here for black. And after move queen to d1, as we said, in this position, Teimour Radjabov resigned, which means now that Viswanathan Anand has equalized now the result with Magnus Carlsen. So he is now again at the top of the table combined with Magnus, although Magnus has better additional criteria, but we'll see what will happen in the continuation of the tournament. So it was really unnecessary what Magnus did today. He lost this game against Aryatari because he played the dubious opening. So Vishy took his chances, won the Armageddon game with a beautiful tactic, and as I said, has now great chances to win the whole thing. So okay, I hope that you enjoyed the game. Really wild tactics we have seen in the game. If you want to see also some other beautiful games from this chess event, please check out my coverage so far with some other games. And if you like this content, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you soon with some more videos, and what to say, chess is the best, of course.